Good morning, everyone. For teleSUR, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. To begin today, we go to Brazil. Our top story takes us to Brazil, where the Supreme Court injunction has given President Dilma Rousseff more time to muster the votes she needs in Congress to block efforts to impeach her. Now, the political opposition has accused her of manipulating government accounts. Many say it's part of an attempt to destabilize the government there. Ruling party lawmakers insist the efforts to impeach Rousseff are unconstitutional. Now, Article 86 clearly specifies the president cannot be held responsible for acts outside the performance of her duties when in office. The Supreme Court also stated that the Federal Accounts Court ruling against Rousseff could render her ineligible for future elections but cannot be used to impeach her.
Brazil cannot resolve its political issues with an institutional rupture. Impeachment is only justified if it has a legal basis. There isn't a legal basis to take these kinds of measures.
The U.S. continues to harbor Antonio Horacio Stiuso, who was wanted in Argentina. Now, he's wanted in the country for alleged connections to the 1994 bombing of the Jewish Community Center in the capital of Buenos Aires. Our correspondent Leonel Poletti now explains why.
The Brazilian Bureau of Interpol last week confirmed that the former chief of operations of Argentina's intelligence agency, Antonio Horacio Stiuso, boldly accused of having close connections with U.S. intelligence services, flew from Brazil to Miami in February using an Italian passport. Ever since, Washington, D.C. has refused to cooperate with Buenos Aires and reveal his whereabouts.
Information regarding Stiuso have been requested for many months now. We suspect that there is a high likelihood that he is being protected by those who have been his bosses and those who have bought him off, along with Alberto Nisman's in recent years.
In August, Argentina's Department of Foreign Affairs summoned the U.S. ambassador in Argentina, Noah Mehmet, and asked him to report back on what basis was Stiuso residing in the U.S. Ambassador Mehmet responded that he would consult with Washington, D.C. The Argentine government has not heard back from the U.S. ambassador ever since.
Stiuso has been a close ally to the U.S., to U.S. intelligence services to be more precise, and the U.S. does not want to inform on his whereabouts. The U.S. should clarify in what situation he currently is. Has he been granted refugee status? How is it that he has been there for 8 months now?
Stiuso is under investigation for felonies such as smuggling, illegal wiretapping, embezzlement, and he is a major suspect in the covering up of vital information concerning the 1994 bombing of the AMIA Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires.
On Stiuso's shoulders lies everything that is related to the covering up maneuvers between the Argentine state and the judicial complicity in relation to the AMIA bombing. Because of this, we cannot yet get down to the bottom of the truth.
The Argentine government and state prosecutors consider Stiuso a figure of maximum importance for his apparent alignment with the now deceased prosecutor of the AMIA bombing, Alberto Nisman, and his close ties with right-wing political sectors in the US and Israel. To many here in Argentina, it has become increasingly clear that Stiuso has sought asylum in the US, and the longer Washington, D.C. takes to cooperate with Buenos Aires, the clearer it seems that they are protecting him. Leo Politi, teleSUR, Buenos Aires.
The U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, will arrive shortly in Mexico City. He will carry out a 2-day visit that includes a meeting with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto. Both officials will discuss border security, organized crime, and ways to ease traveling and trade between both countries. Staying in Mexico now, where authorities have reported the arrest of the new generation Jalisco drug cartel. Federal police said Daniel Quintero was tracked to the Mexican Caribbean resort of Cancun, where he was vacationing. The drug kingpin is wanted for homicide, kidnapping, and narcotics trafficking. The cartel has had Jalisco under a state of extreme violence. They gunned down a military helicopter recently and ambushed federal police, killing a total of 26 federal security agents.
Quintero Riestra is one of a list of 122 who were wanted by the government of the Republic and is the subject of an arrest order for the crimes of kidnapping, homicide, as well as the target of lines of investigations linked to 4 murders that occurred in the Jalisco state capital. Amongst them, the former tourism minister and a model of Venezuelan nationality.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has voiced his support for Bolivia's sea access case with Chile. Now, he says that Bolivia's maritime access was a dream of former Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. Maduro's statements were backed by similar sentiments by left-leaning leaders during the two-day People's Conference on Climate Change in Bolivia. Now, in September, the International Court of Justice ruled it had jurisdiction to hear landlocked Bolivia's case. In 2013, Bolivia took up the case with the court in The Hague. Chile argues Bolivia has nothing to claim after a 1904 peace treaty that fixed its border with Bolivia.
And with our commander Hugo Chavez, we had a very clear position of support for Bolivia and its historical aspirations for an exit to the Pacific Ocean, with a peaceful sovereignty on the basis of international law. I congratulate President Evo Morales because Evo Morales is seeking dialogue.
Back to Brazil now, where thousands of intense-smelling cow carcasses have washed up on the shore in Barcelona in the state of Pará. Now, a Lebanese ship carrying some 5,000 cows and some 750 tons of oil sunk on October 6th. A dozen cows were rescued along the coastline, but the majority were left to decompose there on the shore with no sanitary controls in place. 3 beaches and the pier there where the shipwreck took place have been closed. Now we're going to take a quick glance at some of the other stories we're covering around the world.
Socialist presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders won the first Democratic Party debate against Hillary Clinton and 3 other candidates. In 2 surveys, over 75% of respondents said Sanders won, while less than 18% gave their vote in favor of Clinton. Bernie Sanders also generated more Twitter followers than his fellow debaters, while his campaign office said they received over $1 million in donations after the debate. Sanders took the chance to explain democratic socialism. The American Civil Liberties Union sued 2 military psychologists who devised the CIA's Bush-era interrogation program. The ACLU said the 2 psychologists encouraged the agency to adopt torture as official policy and made some $80 million in the process. The 2 in question are James Mitchell and Bruce Jessen. The CIA has declined to comment on the suit, which was filed in federal court in Washington state on behalf of the 3 U.S. prisoners. Lawyers are asking for only $75,000 for each victim.
I can only speculate that Mitchell and Jessen may have figured that one day their victims would sue them, because the contract that they entered into with the CIA included a $5 million legal indemnity for them and for their corporation that was involved in the torture.
The U.S. government announced they expect to reach an agreement with Russia's military soon on air safety protocols in the skies above Syria. The Defense Secretary Ash Carter said the next round of talks between Washington and Moscow will take place in the following hours. The negotiation comes as Russia has succeeded in diminishing the Islamic trade group in Syria. The Syrian government has hailed Russia's airstrikes as their troops back the Russian air bombing regain control of cities and areas controlled by the extremists.
Now, with respect to the Russians in Syria, I did say in my statement, and this is important, we're making some progress on the particular issue of professional conduct with respect to Russia in the air. And I expect those discussions they're making progress, and I expect them to conclude sometimes. They have not concluded yet.
Violence in the Israeli-occupied Palestinian territories has continued. While the Israeli government began to set up roadblocks in Palestinian neighborhoods in East Jerusalem, Israeli officials say the measure is aimed at combating the violence they themselves have provoked by antagonizing Palestinians. Israeli forces have killed at least 30 Palestinians since October 3rd and injured thousands more. Palestinian officials and residents alike condemned the Israeli security measures as collective punishment.
Take a look at Major League Baseball in the United States now. The Chicago fans went wild in their celebrations as their Cubs made history by winning their first postseason series ever at Wrigley Stadium. The Cubs have now advanced to the National League Championship Series for the first time in 12 years as they gear up for an attempt at their first World Series since 1908. Now the Cubs beat the St. Louis Cardinals 6-4 to clinch the National League Division Series in 4 games. The Cubs will now go against the winner of the series between the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So we're covering this morning on from Caracas. We have plenty more stories, plenty more on all those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For teleSUR English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great day.